AI, deepfakes, cybersecurity, IT outages, they're all in the news at the moment. In this session, we explore AI and cybersecurity and the connection between them. We're going to think about responsible AI and we're going to think about the skills that a future workforce may need.
Hi, I'm Tracy Malmborg. I'm from the Australian Signals Directorate and I work as the Assistant Director General for the Data and Analytics Services branch. We've definitely seen a real increase in the number of cyber attacks in Australia over the last few years, and they're increasing in volume but also increasing in sophistication. And there's a number of reasons for that. So one of them being that malicious actors are definitely taking advantage of AI and they're using it to disrupt the cyber networks and take action. There's hackers, there's malicious actors from state-based nations, and there's people just playing around with AI to exploit vulnerabilities through the cyber domain. AI can be used to respond to cyber attacks as well. So with cyber data, it's a huge volume of data. And so AI is being used to detect anomalies in that data and also identify patterns that human eyes wouldn't necessarily be able to see. And we can provide that data and those really key points to analysts to further investigate. So that's helping us respond much more quickly to cyber attacks. Another way that's AI can be used to counter cyber threats is by reverse engineering malware. So although cyber actors can use AI to generate malware, we can also do the reverse. And so using AI to create the reverse engineered malware allows us to patch vulnerabilities very quickly, much more quickly than we have in the past, and therefore stop further malicious activity. Within ASD, we're taking AI very seriously. We have oversight of our AI through an AI governance board, and we have a host of ethical principles that we abide by while we're developing and running our AI capabilities. So it's really important to be secure. We're making sure that we have humans in the loop with all of the decision making and that they're only supported through the use of AI. We're making sure we abide by all the laws that we're governed by, and also making sure that all of our processes in developing, implementing and monitoring AI are explainable and transparent. So our governance board has representation from across our organisation challenging all of these components of the AI system, and that's making us stronger. We're learning a lot more about it and we've got really good oversight. And I think that's really important for businesses and government to be taken seriously. It's really important when we go forward to continue to grow the workforce in the field of AI and cybersecurity. So people with skills in data science, machine learning, engineering, legal, particularly legal when you understand the technology side as well. So there's a lot of change very rapidly in the field of AI, and to understand and keep up with those legal frameworks is going to be really important. So there's plenty of jobs out there for people, I think, coming up in the field of AI.
I'm Daniela Treno. I'm the Group Chief Security Officer for Wesfarmers Limited. Cyber attacks generally are increasing. From a generative AI perspective, we're seeing a level of frequency in those attacks, but not at a high volume as yet because the technology is still evolving. But we are seeing quite a lot of frequent cyber attacks across industries, government, because of the geopolitical situation, but also because there is actually quite a criminal economy that benefits from that. So I think like any other innovation, the criminals and criminal groups, whether they're nation state or otherwise affiliated, will always look at technology innovation to be successful and also find the what they call the lowest hanging fruit to get the highest return. So generative AI actually helps them amplify a lot of attacks. So things like we see today in phishing, for example, which are those emails that look annoying, but they actually could be quite malicious, and they've been quite successful in some instances. We'll see generative AI leverage that even further, provide an amplification opportunity, but we'll also start to see, and we've seen it at the edges, where they're using generative AI, particularly voice and image, to start manipulating humans to think that what they're dealing with is actually a high integrity image or a voice of someone of authority. And we've seen examples of that where it's had huge financial implications for a lot of industries. So AI and cyber presents us with two opportunities. It's one of those things that we call a dual technology, like most things. You can see the opportunity for cyber criminals, but there's also some cyber benefits, advantages of generative AI, particularly as we start to see maturity in the solutions and the tech underlying it. And there's two real opportunities, of many. First is actually helping us identify threats and opportunities to stop those attackers and disrupt their attacks earlier in the chain. And so there's a set of solutions that we're starting to experiment across different industries in that regard. And it's mostly about how we leverage reducing the noise and look for the diamonds in the roughs and the needles in the haystacks, among other things. The second point is there's an opportunity to really solve for some of the talent gaps. So we don't have an endless supply of cybersecurity skills and professionals, and it's quite a challenge to do so and plug that gap in a short period of time. So generative AI and those sorts of solutions help put a lot more capability in the hands of the people we do have, and also help them solve for these problems a little faster. So there's an opportunity of both, among other things. So the workforce needs, more broadly in cybersecurity, it's quite evolving. As you know, with generative AI, it's introducing another skill set requirement over and above what we know. But there are some really core requirements in the cybersecurity industry for our people. One is genuine curiosity and problem solving, which doesn't go away regardless of what's happening in the world and in the landscape, because these are really complex problems to solve. And in some cases, they're not really easy to solve and quickly. So you need that analytical capability. You also need a level of creativity. And part of that is also not making sure that you're looking at just engineering skills. You're looking at those who have a whole confluence of skills, whether it's legal, whether it's societal and psychology, because you're dealing with threat actors. You're also dealing with how do you architect these solutions in a trustworthy way? How do you engage and influence people? How do you understand the behavioral nature of cyber and safety? So there's a confluence of skills that you need, and it's not just one role, it's a whole series of roles. So there's those sorts of things which are tried and tested over time, particularly as the cyber industry starts to mature. Then you have what's actually happening at the technology level, which also is influencing the skills we need in cybersecurity. And that's also becoming a challenge because that's now starting to bring data science, engineering more in a prominent way into the field. It's also starting to look at, do we need PhDs actually to even uncover and understand what is becoming largely black box in solutions and models? And so it's starting to change whether we need more mathematicians, more data scientists, those other confluence of skills, or is it more of a partnership opportunity with some of those other deeper areas? So it's a confluence of skills that's really required for cyber.